So if you were going to a party and someone asked you, "Who are you?" what would you say? Would you tell them I'm an individualization of God? Would you tell them that I'm free to experience and express myself in any way I choose in this moment? And that I can change? And that I can experience the magnificence of all that exists right here, right now? Or would you tell them a story? Would you tell them a story like, well, I'm a man in my middle ages. I'm married, I've got a couple kids. I live over here and I do this, I do that, and I've been here, I've been there. Would you tell them a story? And how often do you tell people that story? And is that story the same story over and over and over again? And what you find is as you tell that story, each time you tell it, you realize that you're continuing to live that story each and every day of your life. Now I want to ask you a real simple question. Does the story you are telling bring you joy? See, that's the bellwether. That's the question that we must ask ourselves as we create our lives. Is what we are creating bringing us joy? Is it expanding us? Because let's think about what is this idea of what we're creating. If we are creating something that is truly our heart's desire, that is truly something that is magnificent, will we not be joyful? And as we create that, no matter what we're doing, how much work is involved, the process of that creation will be joyful because it's going to something that has been called forth from our inner being. I didn't say from a being outside. I said from our inner being. Or are we living our lives every day based on a story? You see, you are not your story. You're so much more than that. And one of the things that I do when I am doing spiritual counseling is I eliminate this. Ernest Holmes said this, and I used this last week, but I want to use it again today. He said, everything that you have ever thought, said, done, seen, learned, or experienced has left an imprint on your subconscious mind. Now take it even further. This subconscious mind also contains memory images of your family life, your ancestral background, and the sum total of the whole thoughts of the entire world. And so we tend to have this as the background going on in our lives. It's like the music being played. And then we are in a round of lyrics. The round is being played over and over and over again, and it's being driven by this. The key is, how do we break out of that loop? How do we see something different? I want to go next. And this is what Ernest Holmes said when he talked about the science of mind. And I simply have changed it to say that agape is a place where only two things happen. People are taught about a divine presence and a universal law of good, which reacts to it. And people are taught how to use that law. So basically what we teach at Agape is that there's a universal power and presence that is everywhere, that is creating all things out of itself in every moment, and that we being that are an individualization of that expression. We are that oneness, and we have been given the power through the use of a universal law that is always responding to our thoughts. So if we are telling a story over and over and over again, the universal law is hearing that and it is recreating it. And we've been given these great gifts called emotions. And these emotions are our bellwether. They tell us, are we in alignment with our highest vision of ourselves? I'm going to go back and use an idea that happened for me when I was a parent. Well, I'm still a parent. I've been a parent for 28 and a half years. I'll never stop being a parent. But when I was a parent, my sons would do things, and I would learn that if I do this, I will trigger this response for myself, and I realized that that's not the response I wanted to be. So I already set a new intention that I'm going to be this type of a father in these situations. And so an opportunity will come up for me to demonstrate that. And when I step into that new role and I respond not in the new way, what do you think I felt? I felt pain. I felt anger. I felt discomfort. So my emotions were telling me, you're not in alignment with what you said you were, Lee. But when I respond in a way that is in alignment with what I desire and how I want to be, I feel good. Isn't that fascinating when we talk about how do we get to feel good? It's always about living to our higher self. It's not about what we buy. It's not about who we're with. It's not about what we do. Are we living up to the highest image of ourselves? Are we in the creative flow? So how do we get outside our story? We have to get fed up with it. And that takes a lot of different things. You can get fed up it by being an alcoholic, a shopaholic, a sexaholic, a drugaholic. You can get to be a religiousaholic. You can get to be a parentaholic. You can be a compulsive cleaner. You can be a compulsive exerciser. You can be a compulsive student. You can do 1,000 different things that are taking you away from free expression. The key thing is the beginning of the process of getting rid of your story and living anew is making the decision now to change. And the decision now is the most important one, because when you decide that you are now going to change and you're changing in this now, what you're saying to the world is that my past no longer has relevance. I have learned from it. I have set a new goal in place. I got a quote yesterday or this morning from Abraham that I thought was absolutely magnificent. And it said, if you examine your history, you are destined to repeat it. If you examine your history over and over and over again, you are destined to repeat it. And a lot of people in this New Thought movement say, well, you got to do that. You got to do that. You got to do that. And I've come to the point to say that's poppycock. Now, being a minister, I can say poppycock. Being the Lee before the minister, I would have said another word. So I want you to know that. But it's poppycock, because when you go back and you focus on what was wrong, what is the mental energy that you're sitting in? It's the energy of what you were. And what will you create? That you'll create it over and over again. The question is, they'll say, well, I've got to go in, I've got to analyze and analyze and analyze, and I got to figure out. Well, if you know that something is not in alignment and you don't feel good, you simply have to say, okay, what is it I choose to feel that'll allow me to feel better? What type of thought, what type of action, what type of being can I become? And all you have to do is start to become that. See, but the thing starts with the idea of deciding. I'm going to decide to be healthy. And yes, the doctor gave me a diagnosis, and I accept that diagnosis. I don't deny the fact that there is a reality. Let's say there's a reality that I have a condition. I'm not going to deny it. But I'm going to set in motion right in this time that I've decided to live a life in pure health. And once I've made the decision to live a life in pure health, then all of my thoughts, all of my research, all of my actions, everything I do is focused on pure health. It's not about defeating cancer. It's not the battle against drugs. Are you seeing the words I'm using there? Because when you say you're in a battle against something, you got a war going on. And when you've got a war, there's going to be pushback. Mother Teresa said, I will never be against war, but I will march for peace. So when you're focusing on health, I'm going to live in a perfect, healthy body. I'm going to eat in a healthy way that I know that feeds my body, that my body will absorb all the nutrition in an easy, effortless manner where my cells can take that nutrition into it, regenerate themselves in a healthy, whole fashion, allowing my body to come back into a state of homeostasis where I get to live and breathe through this body, experiencing life in a well-tuned, magnificent Ferrari. Because I look at my body as a car. My body is a vessel that I get to experience life. And it is my thoughts that create my body. Do you notice how powerful that statement was? Because you're going to hear out in the world that it is not your thoughts, that you're subjective to all of this disease, and that there is contagiousness out there. That's poppycock. If you believe with your full heart that you are the creator of your life, none of that is relevant. How many people have come into Agape and saying, Lee, don't hug me, I'm sick. And I will tell them, it doesn't matter to me, hug me. I'm not going to get sick. I never get sick because I have a belief that it will not happen. Now, I didn't have a belief that if you lift heavy weights and you do deep squats, that you will not get a hernia. So because I didn't have that belief, guess who got 2 hernias? Me. So now I'm there and I was doing my mental work, and I want to share the process here because I think it's important. I couldn't heal myself of the hernias. I didn't have the belief deep enough to go there. But what I know is that doctors are God in expression, and surgery is God's way of helping. So I went to the doctor, I had the surgery, but as I had the surgery, I set the intention that my body will heal faster than any doctor's ever seen. That when they say 6 weeks, I will heal in 3 weeks, and I held that intention. So that when the surgery was done, my healing was as I commanded it. You see, we can demonstrate to the degree that we embody it. I think my thought for today was intention is guaranteed. Whatever you intend is guaranteed. It must be, because there's a law that responds to intention. Intention is when you put something out there and you know it, you believe it, there is no doubt. And here's the greatest way to use intention, is to be fully present now. Because when we're so fully present, the past can't influence us. The future is irrelevant, and we are focused in on that. One of the greatest lessons that I've learned is that when you are in conversation with someone, to be an authentic listener, meaning do not have any thoughts, but sit eye to eye and hear every word that is spoken and offer nothing in return unless asked. That is being fully present. So, as a man, I've gone to a lot of relationship seminars. And the women teaching a lot of these seminars would tell you, well, men, you've got to be fully present. I said, well, I'm listening and I'm offering all this advice how to fix them. How many men will guarantee they know how to fix any woman's problem? Raise your hand, guys. Go on. Look at you chickens. Okay, Gene's the only one who's raising his hand. I can fix anyone's problem if you just let me. My ego says I'm strong enough to do that. But here's the thing. When I do that, I'm saying, I don't know who you are. I don't know that you're a perfect emanation of God. I don't know that your mind and God's mind are one. I'm not telling you that all the perfection that you need is right within you. That all you have to do is go within, ask the question, and listen, and everything that you want will come forth. So in that relationship that we have with one another, if we just listen, we provide the space where the question gets asked clearer. And by being silent, we allow the God magnificence that they are, by recognizing the God magnificence that they are, to birth the answer. You see, how you see something is your experience of it. So if you're dealing with a child, how you see that child will be the experience you have from that child. If you see that child as trouble, as in a state of turmoil, you will attract more of that turmoil. You'll attract more of that same thing. See how we create? Now, the process is that we must give it time. Because we didn't get our consciousness the way it is overnight. This has happened over all of our lives. So as we put that new intention out there, as we go to see that individual differently, we have to practice seeing them differently all the time. And they may come in our face and be the way they were because our consciousness hasn't shifted enough. But as we see them as whole and perfect and loving, they will become it because it is law. God is always seeking to be more of itself, which means that each of us is always seeking to be more of ourselves. It's the idea and the process of being. Being what? Being love, being joy, being peace, being health, being abundant, being present. The greatest gift you can give yourself is the presence of the now. So if someone comes to you on your birthday at Christmas and they ask you, what would you like? What gift would be the greatest gift that I can give you? You should look them in the eye and tell them, see me in this moment as already being perfect. Now, on the flip side, what is the greatest gift that you can give someone today? Without them asking, walk up to someone and say, I see you perfect, just as you are today. And when you're looking in their eyes, the God that you are and the God that they are will touch. And you will feel the love that you've been seeking all of your life in that moment. And when you see and feel and sense that love, you will be transformed. Here's the key. Once that transformation takes place, you will be never, ever, ever satisfied with anything less than. See, that's the process of this whole idea of new thought. When you come into a new thought center, you are being called from your heart, saying there's something more within me that is desiring to be expressed. And I'm looking for a place to come where I can be loved, supported, and loved just as I am, so I can become more of what I now find myself to be. So I'm looking at you. I'm looking at each person in this room. And I want you to know, I see you. And I love you. Not for who you were, but for who you are now.